Loreheads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
And today we're talking about the Twisted Treant Maokai, who was released February 16th, 2011.
This is a little bit unrelated to his release date. I just wanted to mention that anytime I say my name is John and then it's time for Mark's, I can't not think about that video.
Yeah, I do too. I thought I'd do something completely different just to throw it off, but I like the consistency.
Who made it? Do you know that?
I forget.
To give it a shout out?
Oh shit, I don't know. We might have to edit it in. I have to go check the Discord again.
It was like the couple that made it together.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Well, it was fucking hilarious.
They put together, they cut every time Mark said, "My name is Mark," and then just put them all on top of each other. Because apparently he just says it the same way every time, which I didn't notice.
Not good. It's not bad, but it's the same.
I think I say the intro the same every time. Sometimes I wish there was more pep to it, because occasionally, like, I'll be editing in, like, different theme music at the beginning that's really hype, and then I just come in, like, so boring in comparison. And I wish I could just be like, "What's up, lore heads?"
We can start doing that. Just cancerous
Mixing
YouTuber intros. Lorehead Nation, welcome back.
Smash that like and subscribe.
Ring the bell, you know.
By the way, that video was by Oob Pleb, so thank you.
Well done. I like that
Sure,
kind
you can find it on YouTube. Yeah, it's good stuff. So Maokai. He's got a bio, short story, some concept art that's shockingly cute on his universe page. And that's about it.
Yeah. Well, I think that concept art might be looking a little more fresh because it's from his rework or update. Not full rework in season 7 I think it was, so like 2017ish, right? Is that the right timing on it? So
it sounds right.
It's not some OG concept art, which you can also find, and is a little more rough.
The OG concept art looks very different.
Yeah, it's like old school League style where everything's like way too hyper detailed, right? There's just like lines everywhere. I don't know.
No yearbook photo though for him.
No, we didn't get one of those, I'm afraid. I'm trying to think about Maokai yearbook quotes now.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what I was going to ask. Is what's Maokai's yearbook quote? I have no idea.
Cedar later.
He's not very punny. That's the thing. He's also not very inspirational.
It was the first thing that came to mind.
That's if you were Maokai, John.
Oh, if actual Maokai, it would be like, this paper is written on my ancestors.
That would actually be pretty funny.
Was that your Maokai impression now?
I know it got to a little bit Macho Man Randy Savage there.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Man,
I'll take you to the biodome.
Some good timely references.
Well,
Speaking of which, what would your Maokai impression be?
Hang on, I forget what he sounds like.
Oh, he's like, make like a tree and vacate the area.
Does he say that?
I think he says it to Ivern. Yeah.
That's such a good quote. See, that's the humor I like.
That's basically what I said.
He's just guttural sounds.
He has guttural sounds and a lot of like wood clopping in the background.
The thing is,
wood clopping.
Okay, so I had a note about this because like the old VO has a bunch of creaking and shit. The new VO, I didn't hear it at all. Is that just me?
Oh, I wonder if he still has a bunch of old quotes that are still.
Oh, maybe. Because like he's got a new VO, he's got a new voice actor, and I think they recorded it all. And the old VO, when you listen to it, they've got a ton. There's always like the sound of like wood creaking and shit. I don't know what that fucking sound was, but wood creaking.
That was like his door.
And cat meowling.
That sounded more like a door opening, but.
Hey, it's kind of the same. But yeah, so I thought that was actually like, I don't like this in the new VO, is that it's lost this.
Oh, interesting. I kind of hated it in the.
Oh, really?
I thought it like overpowered the actual.
I bet you that's.
Quote.
I think Yeah, I bet you that's exactly what they thought. I would like. There's got to be a happy ground somewhere, right? Like Ivern, I think might have.
I was gonna say Ivern must have some sort of shit in his too.
Tree creaking sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said
shrieking, if you will.
The Foley, they had like a whole thing about the thing that they made to make the creaking sounds for Ivern.
Oh.
God, I gotta see when. Yeah. They didn't use it for
sounded
Maokai,
like it had tree creaking. There's slight creakings in that.
It sounds like someone's walking over a wooden bridge while he's talking.
Maybe I'm just like listening to the wrong quotes because I was just pulling a few at random. I don't play him.
Are you listening to the right quotes?
His band sound. I really couldn't imagine his voice. I play Maokai quite a bit in ARAM. I think he's fun. But
let's see. We got the water of life succumbed to death. The mortals will follow.
It sounds kind of like Wolf to me when you're doing that. I will say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those deep. My voice doesn't go deep enough to do any champion that has a deep voice.
Yeah, do remember everyone thinks John's a woman on the phone.
So peak deepness will all sound the same.
I think are we still waiting on Rebecca to hit
I
us
don't
with
feel
it?
It's gonna sound just like John's. I wish I had something, if I like a tree branch to snap.
Oh, that'd be funny.
I like how we both looked around like we'd have a tree branch around us right now.
It's entirely possible we do. We track a lot of shit in through the base.
The pile of sticks in the corner, duh, right?
Oh, we do have
we literally had a pile of sticks in the corner.
It was near the stove, the wood burning stove that we never use. And then I got rid of it because I was sick of the big pile of sticks in my office.
And now it's right over there.
I think it's in the garage.
By nature.
It's probably full of spiders. Anyway.
Probably.
All right.
I'm Maokai. I'm a twee. Was that good?
Newborn Maokai. I love it.
Little baby fawn Maokai. I'm a twee.
I like it.
That's what the saplings say, I think. I'll be a twee one day.
I made a mess in my twonk.
Okay, it like lost any cuteness. Became like something
We've been
sexual.
looking at like random onesies and stuff because we're having a baby soon, and man, they're bad. The things that are on onesies are so bad. But that just reminded me of something that would be on a onesie.
It would absolutely be on a onesie.
Yeah. John, you did like the one that said my bag of holding is full with a picture of a diaper, so you don't have
because that was good.
The exception
that was one of the good ones,
right?
I dead refuse to let him add that to the registry.
Already added.
I'll buy it for you.
Anyway, the Maokai bio
by Rayla Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, Rayla Hyde did the bio as well.
Yeah.
All right. Maokai was a normal nature spirit in the Blessed Isles. He seems to have been like the first like living thing in the Blessed Isles, which is interesting. I didn't think he was going to be that important. I don't know why. I thought he was going to be like a rando tree.
That's because he used to be a rando tree.
I was going to say he used to be a rando tree.
Anyway, he was alone for a while until deep underground he found water of life with his roots. He used that to grow the islands and create saplings. Humans eventually found the Isles, but seemed to respect the magic and Maokai, and they lived peacefully together there for many years until stupid Viego came along with his stupid dead wife, and they fucking ruined everything.
Just fucking ruined the whole fucking place.
Just ruined the whole ding-dang Isles.
You can't have anything nice with Viego around.
You really can't. You really can't. Anyway, Maokai seemed to be he was on a different island, but he could sense the ruination coming, so he drank all of the water of life he could, which allowed him to survive when everything else in the Blessed Isles became corrupted. He still, like, outwardly is pretty corrupted, but inwardly he's still himself, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, more ornery now.
Yes, he's a little corrupted, is what I wrote down. And he'll kill now. It's kind of what it seems like. He'll murder people if he wants to. So he wants to run, but knows the waters of life saved him, and maybe they could save the Blessed Isles as well. So he vows to stop the mist and the corruption, which means I'm sure he has a huge part in Rise of the Sentinels. A huge, massive... Oh, no. Wait, he doesn't. But that's still apparently his goal by the end. Which, I mean, I guess by the end of Rise of the Sentinels, they have, like, stopped Viego, but, like, the Shadow Isles are still the Shadow Isles. It seems like that corruption has not ended.
Yeah.
And that's Maokai's goal, is to stop all of that.
Sure.
Yeah. After kind of reading this too, like, I'm really surprised we don't just have like an uncorrupted Maokai skin. I really want to know what he looked like.
Yeah, I was thinking he'd be very Ivern-like, but not as skinny. little short, chubby Ivern. Yeah.
What a comedy duo they would make.
Right? Yeah.
The Laurel and Hardy of our time.
That's what I was looking for. I was trying to remember the names. Thank you.
I was thinking of like twins with like Danny DeVito.
The other comedy duo of our time. But yeah, I agree. Movie. That was something I was curious about because like it talks about how his form like is twisted, and he used to have a bunch of flowers, and they all turned to like ash when the ruination hits. And like you said, his innards are still good. His organs work.
It's tree organs.
His outside's all twisted, as you know. There you go, the name, right? So, yeah. Maybe it's like supposed to be so different that you couldn't make it a skin. It looks like something like Ivern, where you'd have to change the profile completely.
Oh, maybe.
That would be... I would like to see someone see like a quick like vision of like what Maokai looked like and have him be just completely different and something like beautiful, right? And
right.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like there was a great opportunity for that in the Ruined King.
Yeah, I agree. Actually,
would have been cool.
It's annoying that they obviously changed him to fit in this new story with Viego, and then they just didn't include him in any of that anyway, which is disappointing because I kind of liked his bio. I thought he was more important than I expected, and I expected him to be evil because look at him and listen to him, and he's not, and I liked that. I don't know.
Yeah, I will say to their credit on this one. He is a character in the Ruined King, which I know that they had initially, planned on having before Ruination or like during Ruination. So he was supposed to play a part in it, but the timing got all futzed up, so they kind of missed it.
That's true. Even still, I think that
he's not a big part of the Ruined King.
Yeah. And B, like I think. I don't know, Rise of the Sentinels, we've talked about it a million times, right? But it's like, he still is very relevant. This is like the biggest thrust of what he's trying to do, and I don't know, he doesn't need to be a super big part, but I think he's just very obviously missing, even if Ruined King had come out before, even, you know what, that's a whole other discussion, because I don't think Ruined King flows into Rise of the Sentinels at all anyway. They're like two separate things, but, yeah, it was interesting to me how, like you said, how involved he was in, like, everything. And, like, this bio is, like, really long. It's almost 1,000 words, which is on the longer side for a lot of things. I know they're explaining the Ruination a bit here, but for the most part, it's about Maokai.
Yeah. It's funny because like they sum basically all of it up in the first paragraph. I'm not sure why that's there in the bio, and then they go into detail of it. But like literally, they summarize the bio in the first paragraph for you.
What's funny?
I started taking notes from then, and then I was like, oh wait, now we're actually getting the story.
Down that first paragraph.
Just read this shit. I was gonna say, what's funny is I went back and watched the Ruined King cutscenes, and that's the first thing that happens is they just give not that summary word for word, but essentially like Ari's like, here's Maokai, here's his one paragraph summary. It's like, great. Third time's the charm. I really know who Maokai is now, I guess.
I mean, he literally created the Blessed Isles that lured Viego there that started the Ruination in the first place.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he'll be in the book because I understand him not leaving the Blessed Isles, or I guess I should call them the Shadow Isles now, huh? There's the Shadow Isles now. But he still thinks of them as the Blessed Isles, I suppose. But I could understand him not wanting to leave, and maybe that's why he's not involved in Rise of the Sentinels, but he'd still be fighting from there, Yeah. I don't know, maybe.
No, I agree. He could serve almost in like the place of like Yorick, who's like an ambulatory person and is probably you would expect to be even more involved. It's like Maokai just being this kind of NPC that you stop off at, to go get the water that you need makes more sense, and he's kind of like more better suited to that role. Frankly, what's interesting as you're talking about it, it's like he created these islands, and people know about him. He talks to people. Yeah. He gave them these super duper waters, right? It seems like people would like almost maybe worship him, or he would be known throughout the islands. Everyone would know about Maokai, and it would be great in like Ruination to see that reflected in the like the Blessed Isles culture or something like that. Like, Spirit Maokai or something could be cool. He's like champion who I want to be like a legend and like known. Even like the Wraiths kind of know him, like, or something. I don't know. There's a lot you could do with that.
Especially given that, I mean, in the Ruined King, we learn a lot more about how the Blessed Isles was kind of a collaboration between, the Buru and, the Ionian Vestaya. So, like, and the Ionians already have that, like, super respect for nature and spirits anyway, so...
Yeah. Zaya should have, like, quotes towards him and shit like that. Like, super Vestayans should, like, know of him. That would be great, too, to see him in... God, could you imagine seeing him depicted in two different cultures and, like, the differences, kind of like a kindred, almost? I don't know. I'm liking this idea that has come out. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be great. I only have, like, a few notes about his bio. One was a quote that I liked a lot. It is fucking brutal. Apparently, Maokai's only pleasure nowadays comes from dealing savage violence to the soulless wraiths who roam his land.
That is something they get into in the bio. I guess that in the short story is he's just fucking angry all
raging.
The time. All the time he's pissed off. Yeah.
And while I know that, obviously we want to blame Viego for most things because he sucks. But this was for sure going to happen eventually anyway, right? Because Thresh had shady shit going on behind the scenes way before Viego got there. Viego was just a catalyst, but that was going to happen. Thresh was going to find some way to fuck everything up eventually.
I mean, I do have a note that it says Maokai is kind of his fault that everything happened. Like, if he had just not shown those people that water, this never would have fucking happened, theoretically. Or maybe it would have even...
trusting people.
Yeah. If there's something
the people would have drilled for the water eventually. That's what people do.
Sure, right? I mean, who knows? Maybe Thresh does some old bullshit with or without Viego, and it corrupts it anyway, but... yeah.
Yeah. Now, this bio, and for sure the short story to a bigger extent, but the bio to a smaller extent, it seems like slightly older lore. Like, it was before Viego came out for sure.
Yeah.
Like the descriptions of the trigger, essentially, of the event, this is like the old version of that.
Yeah, because she's like still a corpse and stuff, right?
Yeah. So the quote on this one, so Viego, which is like the current lore, I guess, is Isolde arose a horrifying wraith of shadow and rage, and in her pain, her anger, her confusion at being ripped from death, she took Viego's own enchanted blade and thrust it through his heart. Versus this one, which is... Their grief-maddened king bore the corpse of his queen, and in hopes of reviving her, bathed her decaying flesh in the healing waters. Reanimated as a rotting corpse, the queen begged to return to death. The king sought to reverse what he had done, unwittingly casting a terrible curse upon the land.
I kind of like this better.
I agree. I think this was obviously written without the thought of like, hey, we have to depict this, and we have to put it out in a bunch of regions. Places that especially are probably not going to be cool with this. Like, no one was had a foresight in that way when they wrote this. But it is more metal. I fucking agree. It's way cooler.
I like the idea that Viego, like, she was like decaying, and he still was insisting on trying to bring her back.
She'll be fine.
Yeah, that's more interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And yeah, like you said, there's little pieces of evidence. One glaring one in the short story that's like, oh, this was written. God, this was probably written like a while ago, right? Like, this seems like it was almost written without, like, the short story that was written like before he got his rework, almost.
Oh, it had to have 100% been done before his rework.
Yes, I was like,
there's way too many references to his old ultimate in there.
Yes, exactly. That's the smoking gun.
Yeah.
So it's
God, I
interesting.
forget about his old ultimate.
I did too until I saw. I was like, wait a minute. That's not... Hold on, wait a minute.
They even referred to it by name in that story.
Yeah.
I never knew the name.
It was Vengeful Maelstrom.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I guess
that's what that was in the story. That makes sense. I was like, what is happening? Because I never really... Like, I couldn't really tell you what Maokai's old ult did. I know it created a ring around him, and he receive less damage in it, I think?
Yeah, he and all his allies would take less damage, and then he could pop it, and it would like drain mana the whole time, kind of like a Nivea ult.
Right.
And then he could pop it, and then he would deal damage to enemies inside of it based on how much damage had been mitigated.
Okay.
Kind of like a Galio ult, but with no CC.
Yes.
And I think it was specifically magic damage rather than just a flat damage reduction, which also ties into how he was like, because his whole thing in the old lore, as we'll talk about, is like he hated magic and mages. So that was supposed to be like the tie-in. It's like, oh, he reduces magic damage specifically.
I'm glad they took that out. I don't feel like it fits.
It kind of made more sense. We'll get to it with the old lore. Like, this is like when the Institute of War was still around, and it's not like a Demacia type context. It's like,
gotcha.
He essentially hates being alive. He's a misanthrope. But do we want to get into the short story then?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so like you said, it's by Rayla High. It's called Night Bloom. The summary of it is that, you know, Maokai is out trolling around the Shadow Isles, and he sees I don't remember what it's called, Cinder Bloom? Is that what the name of the flower is?
I thought it was called a Night Bloom.
Night Bloom, yeah, you're right. Duh.
Okay, that's
There's a lot of fire imagery, so that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
that's
Night
true.
Bloom.
There was a lot of. It turns into a Cinder Bloom, kind of.
Yeah. He sees a flower, right? And then they only bloom at night. They only bloom at night.
The eponymous Night Bloom.
Thank you. We'll get past this point at some point, I swear. They only bloom at night, and they only last. They have a very short life cycle. Like, they bloom and then die by dawn, right? And he's like, he's kind of enthralled almost by this. It's like a little sign of life, of like nature in this, you know, complete deadness that is the Shadow Isles, and kind of decides, I'm gonna defend this thing. I'm gonna plant my flag here. And, you know, obviously wraiths are starting to become attracted to it. It's a little spot of life, and he kind of fights them off. And more start coming, and he continues to keep fighting them off. And then there's a moment where he pops his ultimate. He kind of summons this storm around him and the flower, and it's like a dead silence, and he's just sitting there kind of watching it wilt and then finally die. And it dies for the you know, it's the night, and the wraiths kind of like wander off because now there's no life. And at this point, he's completely pissed off. He's filled with rage about just that they would even try and kill this little spot of like brightness, and he goes off to vengefully just go kill as many wraiths as possible, just engage in it. I guess he also mentions that, like, I don't know, maybe he used a little bit of the waters of life to make the soil in that spot like fertile again or something like that. I'm not exactly clear, but that's mostly it.
Okay, I was so confused by the maelstrom thing. I'm reading this and I'm like, wait, there's a storm now? I'm so confused. How is Maokai doing this?
Magic.
And why? Isn't this going to hurt the flower?
As he was watching the flower quickly, like, come to life and then wilt, I was expecting one of the wraiths to yell out, "Hey, Mr. Wilson," and then have him turn around and miss the flower blooming.
Oh my God, John, what a fucking cut, dude. Right. I know what you're talking about because that was one of my favorite movies growing up as a child. This 90s Dennis the Menace.
Wow. What the fuck?
Yes, I mean, the whole thing was that Mr. Wilson was growing this big flower in his garden that only bloomed every decade or so. It was like so rare, and it bloomed for a few seconds at night, and he had this big party for it, and Dennis the Menace distracted him right when it bloomed. And by the time he turned around, it was dead.
You didn't need the description. Obviously, everyone got the reference.
John, if I can talk about Dennis the Menace, I'm going to fucking talk about Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, you gave her a fucking inch. She's taking a mile. We got to stop her.
I'm going to show this to our baby.
This was fun, though. I will say, Maokai saw the Wraith and saw the original Wraith coming back, and it seems like, oh no, I've got to stop that Wraith before it gets to the flower. But then it also seems like he really waited for that Wraith to get all up on the flower before doing anything about it. Like, y'all got a twisted advance. Go get him. Don't wait for it to come to you.
To be fair, like, there is a little line kind of at the beginning where he sees the Wraith, and he's like, I am tired of resisting these things. I'm just going to stay still and let it go by. He's just trying to catch a breather. And in that moment, then he sees the flower, and he's like, fine, fuck, I can't let this flower die. You know? So I can see that.
Yeah, I like this. I like how simple it was. Really, he just wanted to watch this flower for a few hours because there's no other life on his island anymore.
And it is like a good portent of hope for the island.
Yeah, that's true. That's something.
This is like literally the only thing we've seen that's like alive on this island, other than, you know, I guess random explorers who die real quick.
Elise.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. It's like a kind of a sweeter thing for him to deal with. I like it as an action piece because it's not about Maokai fighting off wraiths. It's like that are trying to kill him. It's like there's no tension here. We all know he's going to succeed, whatever, and but trying to protect this little flower. It's a little more like, okay, maybe he won't. You know, maybe you know, who knows. So there's like the tension's back in it a little bit. You know.
Yeah, that's nice. A good point. Yeah. Anytime those champions are in like this massive fight, you're like, well, obviously you're going to be fine.
You can be fine, right? Like, there are things like the Akali story is what I always think of. It's like, oh, you know she's going to be fine, but that's the point, is to watch her like style on people. This is not about that. And she could
fuck up and fuck herself up in some other way. And it's like Arcane, you know that like Vi is not going to die, but it's still entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Arcane is its own beast, right? Like,
of course, but but knowing that certain characters aren't going to die doesn't ruin the tension for me, I guess. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, and like I said, they're just like little moments. Like I like the thing I mentioned at the start where he in a normal color story, maybe he would just dive in and start fighting the things immediately, but he's more like, I'm tired of doing this, right? I don't like doing this. No one else will do it, so I do. Maybe I'll just take a breather. Or like the moment when he's got the maelstrom going, and it just talks about like him just sitting there and like looming over this little flower. Like I would love to see that depicted, because I could like, that's a neat little visual of him, like this huge treant just over this little red flower that's slowly dying. I don't know.
Yeah, this would be a good little cinematic, or even just a piece of artwork, like you're saying.
One of those like little color cinematics, like the Darius with the wolves.
Oh yeah.
That'd be great, frankly. You could do it with no dialogue, I think, even. And that's what would be really effective about it, is just visually tell this little story. So
I was surprised to get something from his point of view. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah,
I didn't think I would have. I don't think I would have wanted it or liked it, but it was good. Like, it was fine. It's not as much as I would want like a Braum point of view, but
sure. I think like this in the bio, there's enough here that it needs just like a longer story with maybe someone else interacting with him, and again, something you could have done through like Rise of the Sentinels, and like that's like the final piece of this little setup you've got here, because it's a pretty good little setup, I think, you know.
Yeah, it would be interesting to break. I don't know. His story is very sad because he starts off completely alone, and now he is again completely alone in these isles. He's the only thing there that's like coherent and not purely evil, and that must be isolating.
Absolutely, right? And more than
except
that,
for Yorick.
Yeah, right. I think, God, I really think you could do a lot of fun things with like him and Yorick and a couple other people who are like weird misfit types who don't really seem heroic and could become the proper heroes of the Ruination. Regardless, I think it's also like not only people like you, like Yorick also suffered through the Ruination, and that's super shitty. But it's like for Maokai, it's not just that all of those people died. It's like, but all of nature is fucking dead, and he must feel
everything he made.
Yeah, everything he made. Yeah. Things he's connected to. Like, imagine how many fucking dead trees there are that he has to like. It's like, holy like that would
brother.
Yeah, right. To something, I could see it like really breaking him in a lot of ways, and I would almost be interested to see that, and then him gonna get fixed in some way. You know what I mean? Yeah.
All right.
Now I included some Ruined King plot points as part of this section too, just because, you know, they had Maokai in it. So
that's important.
Yeah. So in the Ruined King, Maokai's roots have been corrupted by the Black Mist. So the party has to defeat a shade that's poisoning his roots, and after being purified, he gives the party a corrupted seed that they have to purify in a Buru forge in order to clear some more Black Mist away. And after that's finished, Maokai has healed a bit and is able to share some of the island's healing, revitalizing waters, which he stores in his roots and leaves. And then, you know, the party leaves, and that's the last we see of Maokai.
Sure. He has, I won't say, he has a little admiration for Braum, I guess, is like one of the things that comes up. Yeah, it's because...
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think Ruined King does him like proper justice, but it's at least like, okay, he's not immediately trustful of these people, and then Braum being Braum is like, oh, I'll help no matter what, even though I can't find what I'm looking for. And Maokai's like, oh, I really appreciate that. Here's that thing you're looking for. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, pretty much, because they couldn't find any water that wasn't corrupted, so he like gave him one of his leaves that had water in it. It was like, use this, you'll be good.
Yeah, it's
smoke
like an
this, man.
You can just smoke it. You can just chew on it. You know,
make it a tea.
Yeah, it's like in a very, very, very abbreviated version of like what I see for like the Maokai arc, which is that like he's super distrustful of people, and you see it in his like VO that he just doesn't really like people in general, which makes sense, right? They fucked his whole fucking island chain up.
People, what bastards!
I mean, essentially, right? So getting him to a point where he trusts someone, like that's the end step. The problem is it happens across like 2 or 3 cutscenes and a boss fight, and it's like, all right, Maokai's fixed, which is not his fault or even their fault, right? They need to tell a story to a degree, and they have only so much time to do it with Ruined King or whatever.
Mm-hmm. You know, to be fair, that's longer than I think it would take anyone else to trust Braum. So,
I suppose that's true. His boss fight in Ruined King is a lot of fun, though. It was cool seeing.
You do have to fight him.
You have to fight Braum?
No.
Oh my
Maokai.
god.
Well, I guess technically, but
yeah.
Yeah, you have to fight Maokai first because he mistakes you for enemies of the land.
Yeah, he's distrustful. Yeah.
Now, he's also mentioned in a few other stories. He's mentioned in The Princeling's Lament, just kind of very briefly. And then he's also mentioned in Art is Life, which is a Vladimir story. Where we find out that Vladimir lived on the Blessed Isles for a bit.
What?
And he took a bunch of Nightbloom seeds with him when he left, specifically from a grove guarded by Maokai. And he brought them back to Valoran and was able to entice them to grow with a combination of blood and tears.
Oh my god, he's so emo.
Which might also explain why the Nightbloom has so much luck blooming in the Shadow Isles.
I suppose.
Oh, true, yeah.
Whatever it takes, man. That's nature.
I cannot wait to get to Vlad. He lived in the Blessed Isles. He helped start the Black Rose with LeBlanc.
I think Vlad's gonna be fun. I think you're gonna like Vlad. I will say too. From the pieces that like I pick up through shit. It's like I think it'll be fun.
I'm a sucker for a vampire, so let's go.
Hemomancer.
Shut the fuck up.
You're a sucker for a sucker, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, that's canon Maokai.
Well, you said he's mentioned in the Princeling's Lament, but I looked and I don't know if it ever calls like a treant out by name. It just says there's like thorny, twisted like woods and branches. And at least in the wiki, that's what's linked for Maokai is talking about like woods. That's it.
Every branch is Maokai.
Every branch is Maokai. La Branch.
All right, that took me like 4 solid seconds before I understood what you were talking about.
LeBlanc's clothes, and it's just a stick. It's just a piece.
Oh, could you imagine? Anytime you step on a branch, you just hear Maokai all the way from the Shadow Isles. Hey, that's what he sounds like.
Hey,
you!
Get off my branch!
You kids!
Ow!
You stupid kids. He's just Clint Eastwood in that movie. He's mad at people on his lawn. I don't know what that movie is actually about. That's all I got from the trailers.
I don't know, but the last part of his name is Wood, so it fits.
Yeah.
It's our new canon. We need a Clint Eastwood skin.
Well done. Want to talk about some old lore?
Let's go into some old lore.
Sure.
So I'll do the bio. Did you want to do the judgment?
Sure. I didn't have a ton to say about the judgment. There's like a few things. If you thought it was like really like there was a lot you pulled from it, you can hop on it. But I'm down with either. I don't care.
All right. So basically, as mentioned, he was just a normal tree on the Twisted Treeline specifically.
Yeah. I loved seeing that.
And he was randomly brought to life by all the wild magics that were used on the Twisted Treeline because, you know, that was a map where all the champions would fight. So there was magic all the time here. So he was brought to life and immediately slew all 6 champions that were in that match.
Oh my.
Yeah, I guess he came out really OP.
Yeah. And it said, seizing the opportunity, the League offered a trade. They would research a way to revert him so long as he agreed to fight in the League of Legends. Because he didn't want to be alive anymore. He wanted to be back to a tree. That was the deal. Like, all right, I'll fight, but like, as soon as you know how to make me tree again, please. Maokai was indifferent to verdicts rendered by the League, but he was eager to punish summoners for their wanton use of magic. He agreed to the terms under one condition. Once they learned how to turn him back, they would never animate another tree again. And then they add a weird detail here, which I feel like wasn't reflected in his character model or any abilities, but it said, he wears a lantern on the fields of justice to set him apart from the other trees and as a warning to the animals that would do him harm.
He doesn't want them to pee on him.
Because, they'll see that lantern
the
and be like,
wolves that come
out. He did used to have a lantern. I don't know if he still does, to be frank with you. But I mean, the thing is, his old model is like, it's an old League model. Detail can sometimes be hard to pull out of those things, man.
What a wild plot he had.
Yeah.
He just wanted to be a tree.
I just want to be a fucking tree. Put me back into a tree, please.
He is still a tree. He doesn't want the sentience.
Yeah, the sentience part
I get
is
it,
what
man.
bums him out.
Yeah, he wakes up every day and he's like, as a tree, I didn't wake up at all.
But now he has to pack up his briefcase and go to work, make a cup of tea so he can
drive
the
in,
League of Legends.
looking at all the trees as he goes by, like,
doing taxes.
I could be filing TPS reports, or I could just be a tree right now. Yeah, I thought it was just fun that he came from Twisted Treeline. It's like, oh, God bless. It's like, rip, right? And
I figured he had to, right?
I mean, that's why it's called the Twisted Treant, right? It's because he's from the Twisted, And then he killed all 6 champions when he came out.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like a boss.
Maybe he came out at level 18 and it was like level 1 or some shit. Right?
That's true. That's fair.
Modern day AP Maokai and ARAM.
It did make me think I would love, like, if we were like, man, imagine they had like the third tree champion and you were playing Summoner's Rift or some shit and all of a sudden a tree fucking comes to life and everyone in both teams has to kill the giant fucking tree. Maybe you do that for a featured game mode. You don't want that shit happening in your promos, but still.
I am surprised that there's 2 tree champions.
They're certainly different enough, which is interesting.
They are, for sure.
We were talking about Maokai and not Maokai, sorry, Malphite and Galio, also 2 big rock monsters, which are also still kind of different. But like Ivern and Maokai definitely feel like they're both different, and they both feel a little more like they've got their own identities almost.
Yeah. Definitely. Like emotionally, just opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I feel like he was Ivern at some point. Like he was that personality.
No, he was still really pissed off. That's the thing about the old lore and the old VO is he still really was pissed off, but he hated mages and magic specifically.
But that's old lore.
Yeah. Even in the new stuff too, it did say that when Vlad took the seeds from him before it became the Shadow Isles, he did specifically refer to Maokai as the ornery protector of the grove too. Aww. So he's always kind of been pissy, I think.
He was like a grumpy Ivern.
He is. That's more it. Like when you look at the voice lines, he's still very angry. And they talk about that a bunch in like the bio. Is that he's supposed to be full of rage. He's very mad.
Yeah, I assume that was after the Blessed Isles became corrupted.
Yeah,
I'm thinking more about Maokai pre-ruination.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we've got his judgment.
Yeah, we got the judgment. Now, what I found most interesting about this partially was the intro, because normally they'll have like a little intro where it talks about like, ooh, Rise approaches the hall, his blue skin, blah, blah, blah. And then like there's the actual judgment and what happens. But the intro here is really just more of a depiction and description of Maokai came to fucking life on the Twisted Treeline in the middle of a match, and it freaked everyone out and just killed the fucking champions. Then they get into his judgment, and they essentially kind of present him with like, hey, we know you don't want to be alive. We know you want to be a fucking tree. But here's the thing. Look at this shit. And this summoner starts showing him like images of like the Rune Wars. Things like that. And it's like, you could help stop this. And he doesn't really seem to give a shit about that. And there's almost like a moment where they kind of think that, oh, he's saying no, he's not going to be in the league. But he instead sort of turns and is like, I'll be in the league, but you got to turn me back into a fucking tree. And that's the deal. And that's kind of the most of it. Like there's one other thing where like, so they show him this vision, and it's in the vision he sees this kid getting killed, and what I assume is like maybe like the Noxian invasion, because there's like bullets and chemical warfare, and it's like melting all the trees and stuff. But this kid dies in this weird vision illusion, and after the vision illusion is gone, the blood from that kid is still around, and then he puts like a little like seed or whatever in the blood, and it becomes a sapling essentially that looks at him almost like with a look like the kid did, and it's like this weird like, I don't know what the fuck happened. Like, is that
it was the most wild shit. I was like, wait, what the fuck? He sticks his roots in there and like sucks up the blood and then gives birth to a sapling. Like, is that how all the saplings are born?
It's like, did they actually kill a kid like as a part of this judgment?
Right? I was like, I thought that was illusory. What?
With the blood still there, and he sucked it up. I was like, yeah, and I feel really bad about throwing the saplings now, but he also seems to like smush the saplings. Like, so I don't know what's happening.
Fucking wild.
Every time you throw a sapling, you kill a Runeterran child.
To be fair, they were already dead, so you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the soul of a murdered child. Thank you.
Jesus.
A few interesting things about this. During that opening bit, too, after he slays all 6 champions, a bunch of other champions and summoners who were just watching the event, because there is... I feel like this isn't talked about a whole lot, but there is a spectator area for all of these League of Legends matches.
Sure.
So they had a bunch of summoners and champions just watching the match, and they all go onto the field to try and subdue the tree too. And he spins up a vengeful maelstrom and is going to murder all them too. And then Kale descends from the sky and ults all of them.
It's funny. Let's go back to Kale and talk about that shit, because I forgot that she showed up in that little intro.
Right?
The multi-person ult. Who the fuck knows what's happening?
OP as shit.
You know what? I bet you the League tamps down her power, and out when she's in Runeterra, you know,
that's
in the
true.
Olympic Village or whatever.
I also like that when the summoner is showing Maokai visions of like all the horrors that have happened, his like internal monologue was basically like, yeah, everything you're showing me is just humans being assholes. Why would I want to help you? Like, and are you even paying it? They're all using weapons that are made from cut down trees. Why would you even show me this if you wanted me to help?
That is true. It is true. Yeah. He's also like nature, when nature like absorbs a child's blood, which, you know, they talk about a lot in this one. It comes up a lot. It's like it weeps. So it's like, yeah, that also sucks, but I also feel it even more. So like, I get it. I know this shit's shitty. You're not telling me anything new, right? Kind of interesting for a little judgment. I'd be curious what would happen if he had said no. I assume they would just use some summoner magic and put him in a broom closet or some shit.
Right? Just like old Shaco.
Yeah.
Old Fiddle. Just keep him in the closet.
He's in the Journal of Justice a couple times too, I saw. I don't have the article numbers though.
Yeah, I think first one is 15.
I think that's when he came out, I must assume, right?
Yeah, so they don't refer to him as Maokai in this.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
The whole article is just one of the reporters. Is this Alex Yee?
This is the Journal of Justice character of senior executive producer of Arcane, Alex Yee.
See, we're hitting a fucking problem, because I started reading this and it's like, I recognize this. This is from that Lee Sin one. This is the same guy. And if I remember correctly, it's Arcane executive producer Alex Yee who wrote this. But it's
so I wrote down a paragraph actually of this, and it's just like the opening paragraph, just to give you an idea of like what his character was like, because all of the stories that are from this character's point of view are very much in this style. It's not often that I'm the deliverer of breaking news. I prefer to leave the Johnny-on-the-scene shtick to the younger lot, whose wisdom is trumped by naivete. Mind you, I don't mean to downplay their efforts. After all, it is upon their broken, labored backs that my salary is generated. For that, The martini of my indifference is garnished with a modest olive of unspoken appreciation. Those of you who would assert that vermouth would have made for a stronger metaphor have no business partaking of any beverage not distilled in a bathtub.
Yeah, there's a tone to this guy. But it's his first-hand account of Maokai popping into creation. He's mostly just like, imagine everyone else is freaking out. People are like, champions are getting killed left and right, and he's just like drunkenly in the stands with the martini, just like, yes, this isn't boring. Yes.
I thought this would be a waste of time.
Yeah,
it's like very Hunger Games.
Kinda, yeah. I think that's mostly it. I don't remember much of the details, but it's just like, it's a fun read, I guess.
Yeah, it's cute. Yeah, the rest of the times he shows up, it's mostly mailbag of justice stuff from what I can find.
One thing from that first story is they talk about like, oh, there was a moment where an apprentice minion summoner noticed a crazy influx of magic, which I thought was like great. Like, oh yeah, there's summoners, and then there's like apprentice summoners, and they're the ones who summon the minions. Like, they had to explain every detail of League of Legends.
God.
Oh, I love it.
Yep. And yeah, like you said, there's JOJ. There's a mailbag of justice ones, right?
Yeah. So issue 20, somebody asks Maokai whether he attends rallies for green initiatives and whether she can have one of his adorable saplings. He says, "Green movements. This is an interesting name. I do my part in the league so that men can know the error of their ways. I don't go to rallies. I don't think I would be comfortable there. I'm close to peace in the forests of Runeterra, as you say, but with this magic coursing through me, I can never truly be free. As for your other question, the saplings are not toys. You cannot have one. But there are trees all around. Most have wonderful personalities. You just need to take the time to notice."
Wow.
And then issue 34, somebody asks if Malphite and Maokai hang out to talk about their similar origins, since they have so much in common.
This is someone calling Riot out for creating two similar characters.
Yeah. Malphite responds to this one and said, "Yes, Maokai, we bear the same burden, the longing for peace. But Maokai lets his rage consume him. He sees only the curse of life, not its gifts. With a curse, we are doomed to pain and torment. With a gift, we gain the power to fight for peace. Nonetheless, I am proud to call the Twisted Treant my ally."
Sure.
The end.
I want to see those two hanging out. I wonder what they do. I don't know.
They play rock, paper, scissors.
Damn. That's dark. You calling Maokai paper?
There's got to be a respectful term for it. Rock, vibrant tree, scissors.
Rock, bark, axe.
Even that feels a little too...
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it for the old stuff.
Yeah, I have a few quotes written down before we get into AU stuff, though.
Sure.
So he has one quote, "Pruning dead branches and odd ones." Might be a reference to the ex-pro player Odd One, who, was one of the ones who popularized Maokai Jungle.
Oh, okay. Did you pick up on that immediately, Rebecca? Because I didn't. It took me a...
Yeah, when he said Odd One, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about the Odd One a little bit, which is no shade. I was just like, oh yeah.
It's been a very long time since he's played.
It has been, which makes it all the more surprising, like, how many cinematics his Baron Steel on Elise finds its way into. Because it's been at least 2 or 3 at this point.
I only remember Ignite.
It was Ignite, and then they've got it one in the MSI trailer too, where they're talking about like what it takes to be a champion, and they're like selfless sacrifice, and then they've got Elise again, and then that giant thing splitting the sky like it did in the Ignite video.
I'll have to check that out. I don't think I've seen that MSI video though.
It's weird, but yeah, old jungler for TSM. I have some fun quotes here. We got the "Stop carving woods into my bark. Everybody knows G loves K," which is a quote to Garen. "Demasius walls will not stop the black mist," which was
you gotta build fans.
Great foresight.
Right? Build fans.
I also have a few sexy Maokai.
Why? No.
Yordle, stay out of my trunk.
No, honey.
I love all my saplings, especially how they taste. I'll show you, Twisted.
Okay, well, when you say it like that, he doesn't say it like
Rooted out.
What? Wait, rooted out?
So this is what they call getting stumped.
All right, that one I'll give you.
Yeah. Yes.
Enough bark, and there's no need for a bite.
I like the stumped one more.
John.
In the end, they all scream.
You know what? I wasn't with you until that one, but you got my vote. God damn it.
You're welcome.
I wasn't thanking you.
Thank you.
Next time we do it, he's going to say, that's what I call getting stumped.
Well, that'll be a shame because he'll just be murdered after that, and that's just going to be a real fucking downer. Good stuff.
But yeah, that's canon Maokai. Including the sexy Maokai bit at the end. That's also canon.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely
for sure.
Canon, 100%. He does have one quote I saw towards Jace, which I thought was weird, and I didn't get what it was in reference to. He says to Jace, a voice follows this one, a song like those in the mist. I don't know what the fuck that's in reference to.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
You know what I bet that is? Because it's 2017, right? That's a good 5 years from now. They must have thought, ooh, we'll do something with Jace in the Shadow Isles, and then just fucking forgot about it.
I don't know. That's interesting.
Man, what would it have been?
I don't know, unless I'm completely forgetting something, and if I am, I'm really trying to think of it. But like,
I know. Let us know in the comments if you know what the fuck this is.
Yeah, honestly, I'm curious, genuinely. Was Twisted Treeline still in play when this rework happened?
I think it was one of the impetuses of the rework.
Maybe when they did the Treeline rework into Shadow Isles. I bet. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I would bet there's somewhere written down. There was someone written down on like a whiteboard somewhere. Jace, like question mark next to like Shadow Isles.
Voice special?
Yeah, it's something that's just super vague, and then if we never follow up on it, no one gives a shit. But yeah, the only thing about
Jace
canon
was actually undead the whole time.
I mean, I suppose, right? Who knows? Who knows what they were thinking with it? I'd be curious to have someone tell me what it was. The only other thing is because, like, obviously we said some of this stuff's a little old. Even if it's not old, there's like no mention of his saplings on any of his mainline stuff at all.
Oh, like weird? The story bits, right? You mean?
Yeah, like you would think that if he's got these saplings at some points, like in his bio, or maybe more like the short color story, he would at one point have one like, oh, he sees a little sapling pop. Like it's like if you only read this, you wouldn't know they existed at all, right?
Right, because they talk about it when he was like uncorrupted about like growing saplings which grew into trees, but like he still has the saplings even though he's corrupted. Like where are they coming from?
Yeah, I think even more so like because when I think sapling, I think like what it means in the real world, where it's just a little sapling, not like this weird like gremlin thing that pops out. Right? So it's like, I don't know. I know that's a weirder thing to try and get into the lore, but it's like something. When I think Maokai, I think saplings, right? So it's like it stuck out to me, I guess, that they don't show up at all.
Yeah, I could see that. It's like Cassidon having no fucking rift walking.
Sure, right? I mean, honestly,
and a sword no one knows about.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And now he is part of a handful of AUs. Starting with Infernal, where the Ashen Lord had been summoned and transformed the world into a land of ashes, cinders, and fire. And this is Charred Maokai. Once a steward of the gentle tree folk, Maokai was consumed along with his people when the Infernals ravaged the world. Now, brimming with rage, he seeks only to spread his anger and misery to anything that crosses his path.
Look at this sapling having a good time.
He's just living life.
So this is just Maokai, but if he was charred?
Right, Maokai, but fire?
Cool. He's on fire. I think that's the whole AU, really.
Yes. And then he's in Cats vs. Dogs. Set in a world where cats and dogs reign, each of the champions represent an opposing faction battling against each other. And this one is Maokai.
This is such a good skin, dude.
Maokai has, at long last, embraced his role as a giant, haunted scratching post.
The little saplings are so good.
And then we've got World Breaker. In the end, the moon will smother the sun, and in that hopeless dawn, 4 titans will rise to shatter the world itself. This one is Worldbreaker Maokai. An immense tree-like golem, Maokai grew from the very roots of the world, charred though they were by the last annihilation. Burdened to revive the world after every destructive cycle, he wanders for all eternity, reseeding the earth with his magical saplings, making way for the renewal of life, only for it to be undone once more.
Okay.
And this one has also, I think, a Legends of Runeterra card, because this one also has a level up. So there's more lore associated with this one on the level up. Burdened with the gift of revival, the World Reaver resumed his eternal task, scattering saplings across the earth. In the aftermath of destruction, he alone could knit the earth back together, coaxing life from its barren soil. But this hard-earned life, he knew, could never linger. Numerous as the days, the saplings carried limitless potential, each an untapped source of renewal and rebirth.
Cool. If anything ever has a Legends of Runeterra skin, I don't know. I'll be frank.
Well, unless it's part of the story mode.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Now, he's part of Astronauts, set in an alternate Runeterra where each champion is an astronaut. And, for the record, the Astronauts universe is connected to the Odyssey universe. Since there's an Odyssey Jinx doll in the background of Astronaut Nar and Astronaut Poppy, while there's a spaceship resembling the Morning Star in the background of Astronaut Bard, and numerous meeps can be seen in the recall animation of several Odyssey skins. Also, Odyssey Twisted Fate can be seen holding a container with an Astronaut Bard alien meep in it.
Oh, neat. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. This one is Astronaut Maokai. The first tree to grow on planet M33P, or a meep for you at home. Maokai gained sentience due to the latent power of the meeps that took up residence in his trunk. He now fosters life on this new home of his, collecting and caring for young meeps that could use a helping hand. Or branch.
So in this one, are the saplings supposed to be like meeps that have become like saplings of his? I'm looking at them now.
Yes, that's my take.
I like that. I like this skin a lot. I don't think I ever see it in game.
Yeah,
you don't see it a lot.
There.
I guess you don't see Maokai a lot, but
that's true. It looks like the Bard one a lot. I'm curious how it looks in game. Yeah, it's a year old now, about a year old. Not quite, but almost.
Now we've got Snowdown Showdown, set around the mythos and festivals of Runeterra's time of Snowdown, and real-world winter holiday festivals, most notably Christmas. And all of the champion skins were inspired by these regional or festive cultures. And this one is Festive Maokai. Big, jolly, and possessed by a literal holiday spirit, this living fir tree known as Maokai loves nothing more than to unwrap the presents tucked under him every year. He would prefer to do this away from the fire.
Aww, this is such a cute one.
Yeah.
I like the idea of people putting presents under him for other people, and he just unwraps all of them. More presents for me.
Foolish mortals.
Or he keeps like moving, and they're
That's
like,
also funny. Yeah.
And he's part of the cinematic Be Your Best Santa. He shows up in it.
Cool. Is he just a Christmas tree? Are you arguing that any Christmas tree is potentially Festive Maokai?
Oh,
how dare you? This Christmas tree walks.
Okay, they don't all do that.
And he's got a harrowing skin, Haunted Maokai. Few locals dare to trick or treat past the forest just outside of town. Too many have vanished within that dreary woodland where one feels the weight of unseen eyes, and even the trees are driven by a terrible hunger.
The sapling on the...
Oh, God, that's terrifying.
It's so good.
Those
Do yourself a
teeth.
favor and zoom in on the sapling on this one. It's fantastic. He has a lantern on this one, on the skin. His default splash, though, doesn't have a lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe this is
Olden
like
day shit.
Maybe this is like almost like a nod to like Twisted Treeline stuff, because that was very much the...
I think so. It honestly, like, it doesn't look much different from his regular splash. I think it does in game a little bit more.
He's got like big like headstones or whatever, like on the back, for example.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. This is almost like if he gave up and became Shadow Isles total. Right?
Yeah.
Now we've got a soccer cup.
Oh, yeah.
Set in the world of football, where all the champions are either football players, judges, fans, or the soccer ball. And this one is goalkeeper Maokai. Debuting in the 2014 Soccer Cup, much of Maokai's career has rested on the Order United goalposts growing out of his back. As Maokai is a giant tree, you have to be pretty good to score on him.
Damn.
This doesn't seem regulation.
But
I'm
once
gonna be
you
honest.
do, you get stumped.
Hey.
I
Get
kind
it
of like...
because you score.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I
go
get
ahead.
it.
Get rooted.
What was I gonna say? I don't fucking remember. This makes me think of like you ever play like Blood Bowl or like Mutant Football League?
Oh, yeah.
This makes me think of that. I kind of like it.
Yeah. And then finally, last but not least, we have the World Championship Victorious skins, which are basically the catwalk skins.
Do it up. Catwalk
And this is
me.
Victorious Maokai. Victorious Maokai was awarded to players who reached gold or higher in the 2016 season. Victorious Maokai lays down his roots fashionably with vines of golden leaves and a rich blue and gold robe.
Oh.
Did you add that fashionably, or is that how it's written?
That is how it is written.
Awesome. Great. Good shit.
And finally, just have a handful of fun facts. Not a lot. One, Maokai is voiced by Jay Preston.
Do you think he just sounds like that?
Maybe. There's like no alterations to his voice at all.
He just carries sticks around with him everywhere and rattles them.
See, he would have done that impression right. 'Cause he's got his
Right?
pocket sticks.
Maokai was named after his artist, or his concept artist, Maokai Zhao.
Oh, damn.
That's neat.
Maokai's dance is a Harlem Globetrotters reference.
Oh, my God.
Which is a real bummer that
It's not
Ivern got a
Ivern's.
Dunk Master skin and Maokai didn't.
Well,
I know he's short, but come on.
He's even got saplings he can dunk. It's so perfect.
yeah. You know what? You're absolutely fucking right.
Give him the trunks, Riot.
Put him in, coach.
Works on so many levels.
It was very good.
I liked
Thanks.
it. It was good.
So he re-explores the Treant theme of the canceled champion, Gavid. And this also made me think that when we're done all of the normal ones, I feel like we should go through the canceled ones, because there's like a lot of them.
There's a few that I can think of that's I don't know Gavid, but there's one that's like almost like a Megamind looking guy that I remember flying around. Kinda like
You mean
that.
Ezreal's old splash?
And like a witch doctor, I want to say, type situation, right? Am I thinking of the right one? Or am I thinking of like an actual Dota hero?
Well, I mean, it is a Dota hero,
Yeah,
but
I
it was
think-
also, I mean, I feel like most of our champions were essentially just reskinned Dota heroes at some point.
I mean, we're talking about like something that was not done and was iceboxed as a part of like the initial release. So I'm sure that
Yeah.
I'll be down with that.
During Maokai's art spotlight, tabs for Jarvan IV and an unnamed blind monk can be seen. In the totemic Maokai skin, one of the natives painting Maokai's finger has a tattoo of Summoner's Rift on his back.
Oh,
Really?
interesting.
Damn.
And finally, Haunted Maokai and Zombie Brand were the first skins to have a respawn animation.
Oh,
neat.
damn.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I remember that zombie brand one. I was so pumped when that came out. And he just like pops out of the grave when he respawns.
Yeah, zombie brand was like a very big deal.
Oh, so good.
Like the footprints following him and his like walk being so different. That wasn't something they did very often.
And his walk animation changing when you got close to enemies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love that skin.
Absolutely. I always love his
caused problems on initial release, but they figured it out.
That never happens.
Just a bump in the road, my friend.
All right. Any final thoughts on Maokai?
Good. Tapped out.
Yeah.
He's a good tree.
He's a good twee.
Yeah, he got done fucking dirty in Rise of the Sentinels.
Yeah. Oh, we hope to see him in the book. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Branches crossed.
I thought about saying it, but yeah.
He was probably the right choice not to.
That was Maokai. Thanks for listening. I'm really sorry about John. I'm just kidding.
I ain't.
John's everybody's favorite.
I'm a delight.
They love his bad jokes.
What bad?
I like your good jokes. Don't worry.
Can't wait to one day hear one.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear another one. It's like once a year, so I'm just kidding.
God damn.
You're so funny.
Okay, bring out the worst.
Now I'm sorry about me.
Thank you for your apology.
We're on Twitter @Loreheads. We also stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Loreheads. We stream on Saturdays. We play League, and John does TFT on Mondays. We post these on YouTube as well, along with some parodies that John sings. They're fantastic. Those are your good jokes, honey.
It's all there. Nowhere else.
We also have a Discord. The link to that is in the description of this episode, or you can find it pinned on our Twitter. And we have a Patreon. Thank you so much to all of our patrons.
But a very special thanks to our Medarda tier patrons, D. Smurfs, Jeremy Rich, King of Hearts, Mylect, and Shupa Mustache. If you were all stuck on the Shadow Isles and Maokai was trying to get you, I'd help. I would take a vengeful maelstrom for you.
He's only saying that because he doesn't use it anyway.
Yeah.
There's a possibility of it.
And be sure to join us next week because we're going to talk about the Wuku the Wuku Bladesman, Master Yi.
The what?
He's going to say the Wuku bitch. Master Yi. Wuju.
Did they change the name of that?
Hold on.
I don't know.
It's Wuju for sure.
Oh, did I just read it wrong?
Oh God, I thought you were reading from a website, not your notes. I was like, wait, where the fuck is it?
My notes. Is it Wuju?
It goddamn better be.
It probably is. Listen, y'all, I'm pregnant and I'm tired. And the K and the J, I think, are pretty close to each other. Yep, I just checked to make sure because I wasn't positive. Is he Wuju? Did we check? Wuju?
Wuju like you do.
Can you do it, John?
Join us next week where we'll be talking about the Wuju Swordsman,
Bladesman.
Master Yi, Bladesman, Master Yi, Sword Boy, Master Yi.
Well done. Smooth
It's a good indication.
outro.
Got it in one.
A good indication.
We can edit that, right?